All right, hello. We're just going to take another quick look at the principles of art. But first, we're going to revisit the elements of art. The elements are the things that we use to communicate through pictures: line, shape, color, texture, value, space, and form. And the principles are the laws that govern how we use these things. So, what's a line? If you had Mrs. Tazakis in elementary school, she might have said, take your dot for a walk. A point in motion, a dot going for a walk. Lines can be straight or curved, they can be dotted, dashed. They can also be implied. That's where you maybe point at something. It implies that there's a line. So, or the line at a shopping mall, or there aren't any more shopping malls, are there? The line at the grocery store is not literally a line, but your eye can kind of follow from person to person to person in a direction. So, line. Gesture lines are fast and loose. Hatching lines, cross hatching. Contour line, contour is an edge. When you see the outside edge and just follow along the edge. Blind contour is where you don't look at your paper. You only look at the thing that you're drawing. And it's a good exercise to build discipline, to teach you to see things, but the end result might look like this. All right. Texture is how something feels when it's touched. It can be real, or it also can be implied or simulated. So I can look at something, and even though the surface of the computer screen is smooth, it may look rough. Actual texture you'll find in nature and sculptures and three-dimensional art. Simulated texture is in paintings and photographs. Shape, an enclosed space, usually two-dimensional. I shouldn't say usually, but always. However, sometimes people refer to a cube as a shape, but it's not. A cube is a form. Anyway, two-dimensional enclosed area. It could be enclosed by a line. It could be enclosed by a color. It could also, you can make a shape if you were mowing your lawn and just only mowed in the shape of a heart. That would be texture. So the long grass, where the long grass meets the short grass, it would create an enclosed space, a shape. Geometric shapes are based on straight lines. Now, in nature, there are no straight lines. If you see anything that's got a perfectly straight edge to it, it's because it was made by people, like a table or a chair that you're sitting on. But in nature, there are no perfectly straight lines. Literally, the word geometric comes from geo, which means earth, and meter, which means measure. In the early days, when they started dividing up the earth into different plots or lots, they would start at one place and go to the next in a straight line. Or if you look at a map and you see the mostly straight lines, the only place that a state or a county is curved is usually where it bumps into a natural boundary, like a river. All right. Organic shapes. Organic means natural. Sometimes people use the word biomorphic for organic. Bio means life. Morph means shape. So life shapes, biomorphic, organic. Form is an enclosed space that is three-dimensional. So a square is a shape, a cube is a form, a circle is a shape, a sphere is a form, a rectangle is a shape, a rectangular prism is a form, a triangle is a shape, a pyramid actually has a square base, or a tetrahedron, which is 4 triangles, is a form. Geometric forms, organic forms. Wow, that's a crazy looking tree. It looks like a lady dancing. Kind of. I don't know. Value is the lightness or darkness of something. Color can have value. The hue can have a certain intensity to it. You can show value by blending the graphite on the paper, or you can use hatching lines, cross-hatching. Stippling is when you put a bunch of little dots. Color is the visible part of the sun's energy. So the sun is shooting out a bunch of energy, radiating, I should say, radiating energy, and that energy is called it's called radiation. We can only see a teeny tiny part of the sun's energy. What we can see are wavelengths, and we have named them red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Above violet is called ultraviolet. We can't see it. Below red is called infrared radiation. We can't see it. And then there are other things like X-rays and radio waves and TV waves. And scientists, smart people, have figured out how to use these energies, these waves, to communicate via radio using radio waves. But what we can see is a very small part of the spectrum, and it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and all the colors in between. One half of the color wheel is the warm colors, red, orange, yellow. The second half, green, blue, violet, are the cool colors. Although it gets a little confusing, you could have a warm purple or a cool purple depending on how much blue and how much red. Oh my goodness, what's going on there? Color schemes. A scheme is a plan. What kind of color plan do you have? This looks like a middle school drawing. Colored pencil on bristle board or bristle paper. Monochromatic. Mono means one. Chroma means color. Analogous colors are next to each other. Ana means beside or similar, like an analogy. An analogy is when you say, well, it's kind of like stealing candy from a child. Don't do that, though. That's mean. Space is the distance between, around, above, below, or within things. Oh, it's basically everything, right? Where on the picture plane? When you're lower on the picture plane, things tend to get bigger because of perspective. When you go closer to the horizon line, they get smaller. Aerial perspective is the phenomenon where as things get farther away from us, they get lighter, fuzzier, hazier because of miles and miles of overlapping water droplets and dust droplets and particles floating in the air. Linear perspective involves lines. Linear is line. Parallel lines appear to get closer and closer together until they eventually bump into each other and disappear at a place called the vanishing point. The sides of that road are actually parallel, but what we see in the world around us is a phenomenon known as linear perspective, where parallel lines appear to converge until they bump into each other and disappear. Space can also refer to positive and negative space. Negative space is what artists like to call air. It's just a fancy word for air. So the ram itself is the positive space, and the shapes that are created in between the ram's neck and the horn is the negative space. I think we'll stop right there.